And we are back. We are playing football. I'm your humble host, Brandon, and I got my man, Honey Grant. Set it off, Chris, with me.
What's up, fam?
Chris, we had a lot of exciting football over this weekend, whether it was, the divisional round of the NFL playoffs or the national championship. I think we had a lot that we could see from these teams, and some that you could be impressed about, some that you can't, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Nah, I mean, it was a great weekend of football.
Yeah.
Everybody, I know people like Chris got a hat on. Yeah, I just finished
Mhm.
my daily grind, getting it in, getting the body right.
Mhm.
Health is wealth, got to go get it in. But
Yeah.
I sent you, or me and you talked earlier today,
Yeah.
and you was trying to do a show while we was at work, and I was like, say that, because
Mhm.
I think we got some good stuff to drop today. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the games, man. Let's start off with the
Mhm.
games that happened in the NFL, and then we'll talk about the Natty. So where you want to start at, bros?
Let's start off, Chris, with one of the more disappointing things. Well, not disappointing because of how it ended,
Mm,
but disappointing because of what happened afterwards, right?
okay,
The
okay,
Bills lost to the Broncos
absolutely,
over the weekend, right?
right.
And I will say this: that loss was on Josh Allen. Like that, he's the reason that they lost, but he's also the reason that they got back in it. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
okay, okay.
If you throw two interceptions within like what 4 plays,
Mm-hmm.
because he threw an interception on his last play, and
Okay.
then came in and in like the first 3 plays of the second half he threw another one. And then you have more fumbles and things like that. It was 2 fumbles, 2 interceptions. You generally you would think that you barbecue chicken at that point.
Pretty much, pretty much. I mean, if you end up, the thing about it is that you got to protect the football in
Yes.
the playoffs. The ball is premium,
Mm-hmm.
and when possessions are cut down, and when you turn around and turn it over,
Mm-hmm.
it puts your team at a disadvantage. But
Yeah.
what we came to realize is that you and I both have a strong, healthy disdain of protecting people. So
Mm.
yeah, yeah. So our poster boy for a long time has been the quarterback for the Los Angeles Chargers, Justin. Mr.
Mr.
Herbert,
Herbert. Yeah.
Justin Herbert. And so Herbert can do no wrong. Herbert
Mm-hmm.
can make mistakes.
Yep.
Because outside of Joe Milton, there's not a bit prettier ball thrown in the NFL than Justin Herbert.
Hey
And
man, Joe Milton, he can throw 92
oh,
yards,
hey,
Chris,
hey, man, he can throw. Hey,
in a
he can
windstorm.
throw in a windstorm. You know what I'm saying? And it's beautiful when he does it.
Yeah.
Now it might not get to the receiver, but it does sure enough looks pretty as it's going through the air.
Yeah.
But we found out, we kind of knew it,
Yeah.
and we kind of but we give a lot of praise to the big galoot,
Mm.
aka Josh Allen,
Yeah.
and he turned around and had some really bad turnovers. They were down by 13 points,
Yeah.
and so
They
as you
gave up 6
said,
points for free.
there you go. So you turn around, you said, hey, you're down 13. You've been the cause of it. Then he comes back and he redeems himself.
Yeah.
And now it becomes to the point where he's doing everything to try to, make up, clean up his mistakes. You remember when you was a
Mhm.
kid, you would turn around and mess up something in the house, but then you try to go do something good to make
Yeah.
up for what you did
Yeah.
wrong. And then you turn around and at the end of the day, your mama's still gonna find out you did it and
Mhm.
blame you for it.
Yeah.
So, very, very competitive game. The Broncos, ended up prevailing
Mhm.
after a lot of heroics by a guy
Mhm.
who I haven't given a lot of credit to. And he's still not the guy who I think can get it done. But in these instances this year, Bo Nix has been, quote unquote, the hero for the Broncos.
Yeah.
And he turns around late in the game, makes a play.
Mhm.
Some of it was a
Now,
little
I'll say
Go
this.
ahead.
I'll say this though,
Come
Chris.
on.
The Bills' defense gave that thing away at the end. With that legitimate PI call, the PI call that was a little ticky tack, but on that same play you had the roughing the passer.
Right.
So
Which
the
mhm.
Bills' defense gave that away more than anything on that last drive.
But see, that's what I'm saying. You see how you shifted it. We don't care about the 4 turnovers. Oh,
Mhm.
they gave it away at the end. Well, if you don't make those turnovers, you're not having to worry about the
Exactly.
PIs down the stretch.
Exactly.
So there was plenty of blame to go around, and everybody's in
Sure.
tears and everybody's all upset. But at
Mhm.
the end of the day, Josh Allen blew it. And if any other quarterback would have had that kind of performance, it wouldn't be about the defense.
Nope.
It would be about the quarterback. I
Yep.
watched the Cowboys give up 40 points to the Green Bay Packers, but they blame Rain Dakota Prescott because he
Yep.
threw some interceptions.
Yep.
So I just wanted to be fair across the board when we're laying
Mhm.
blame at the feet of these high profile quarterbacks. And like they always say, if you win, you get too much credit, and then when you lose, you get all the blame.
Yep.
But in this instance, Josh Allen turned around and now he even got they put the blame on everyone else, even got the coach fired.
Yep.
And so really good football game. But now the Bills are back at the drawing board because they're gonna ride with the quarterback, but everybody else is up for debate. Keon Coleman, what he didn't do.
Mhm.
Brandon Cooks did what Brandon Cooks does. He's going to give you a non-route, and if
Mhm.
he's wide open, he's money. Or if he's beat the guy, he's money.
He
But when he
did
gets-
that with Dallas too, by the way.
He
He
did.
had a similar play with Dallas where rolling on the ground play and he gave it up.
Right. And, smaller receiver,
Mhm.
body catcher to a certain extent, didn't go snatch it. And that ended up putting the Denver Broncos in a situation, because if he comes down with that catch, then you're
Mhm.
right in field goal range. You go ahead and win that football game and get out the way.
Yeah.
But that's what ended up happening. But really, really good football game. But the Broncos ended up losing their starting quarterback, and Bo Nix ended up hurting his ankle. And now,
Chris, but
yeah.
here's the thing.
Go ahead.
They said that it happened on the second to last play.
Right.
Were they talking about the kneel, where he had to reposition for the kneel? Or were they talking about the QB sneak? That was the play before that.
I think a lot of people want to put it on the roughing the passer because they felt like it was late. He got hit there and he got hurt. But he showed a lot of moxie, came back in, got everything repositioned, and won the football game. But now it puts you with you go into the AFC Championship game at your most vital position at a disadvantage.
Compromised. Yeah, you're compromised.
Very much compromised. But salute to the Broncos making it to the AFC Championship. Puts a lot of eyeballs on a lot of people. See, a lot of things have happened around pro football as well as college football that have put the eyes on certain teams that they got to go get it done. The Broncos are back in the AFC Championship game after tearing it down, rebuilding it, and they're back in it. But a lot of questions around the AFC and different teams where this was the window for Josh. This was the opportunity for Josh. Everybody was, and you didn't have to deal with Patrick Mahomes. You didn't have to deal with Lamar Jackson. You didn't have to deal with Joe Burrow. This was your opportunity. You were the most high-profile quarterback in this situation.
Yeah.
And now you're back at the drawing board.
Yeah, and I think that is one of the factors that led to Sean McDermott getting fired. This was the year. And I think that once none of the other big dog quarterbacks were in the playoffs, I think that his seat got a little hot to where, okay, if you don't make it happen, things gonna get a little uncomfortable. But I will say this: the Broncos, front office, has been doing horrible as far as PR is concerned, handling the fire.
You're talking about the Bills.
Excuse me, I said the Broncos. I meant the Bills. The Bills owner today, he came out and was like, "Yeah, we didn't even want to select Keon Coleman. That was Brandon Beane. I think that's the GM's name. Just being a team player. Why would you alienate your first round pick who's going into his third year, who's had trouble with his development? All that's doing is alienating him and making him possibly not want to play for you anymore."
I mean, so it's still two-sided. It should have never got to the point where we take all the focus and all the blame, we put it on McDermott, we put it on the defense, we put it on a young wide receiver, but it still goes back to the point of saying we just didn't get it done.
Yeah.
We didn't run the ball extremely well all year.
Chris,
all year.
they also you got to think at some point this does fall on the GM. Do you know how many All-Pro players the Bills have drafted since 2018?
Probably second behind the Cowboys, or probably third behind the Cowboys.
The Cowboys have a lot of All-Pro players.
Absolutely, absolutely.
The Bills have drafted one.
Okay, they drafted one. Okay, Josh.
Yeah.
Okay,
Josh Allen is the only player that they've drafted since 2018 who's been an All-Pro.
Okay, but the other guys around him, Cooks. I think didn't Cooks lead the league in rushing?
Yeah, James Cook. Yeah,
James Cook led the lead in rushing. So you got a confident running back. Yeah. You've turned around. You've got Kincaid. You got Dalton Kincaid. You got an outstanding tight end. This goes back to me. This is all on Josh Allen, but Josh Allen is not taking any of the heat for it. Everyone else is getting hit.
He gets protected. He gets protected.
Yeah. Right.
See, y'all treat Josh how y'all say others treat Herbert. Yeah, absolutely, Shane. We
he's right. He's right in there.
He is right there with him.
Yeah, he's right there with him.
So yeah, I think that Josh is in that protected class of quarterbacks who can do no wrong.
Right.
But you've had, where he lost to like that year that he lost to Burrow, he didn't really play particularly well.
Absolutely.
This year, of course, he didn't play particularly well. The reason that they weren't kicking that field goal to win the game at the end is because he gave 6 points away. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You had to go for 7.
Yeah.
You had to go. And he made a great pass to Kincaid in the corner. I mean, and they've got all the pieces on offense to make this thing work. You just can't have 4 turnovers in a big time game on the road in their building. You've got to play better football than that. So, we're going to sit there in the offseason and it just doesn't give a good look to turn around and just throw the GM underneath the bus.
Yeah, you talking about the coach. I think that the GM deserves blame because they haven't drafted another player that has made the All-Pro team. So I do think that the GM gets some blame for sure.
I don't feel a GM should get any blame for that because he has gotten you enough players for you to make play. I mean, you were in the divisional round to get to the AFC Championship. You don't have one of those turnovers. That turnover at the end of the half cost you points. Yeah, that's in the vital part.
You talk about with like 20-something seconds left. Denver was able to get 2 plays and get a field goal.
Right, and that's always in that middle 8. We talk about that all the time. The last 4 minutes of the second quarter and the first 4 minutes of the third, and you had an opportunity to go ahead and cut that thing in half and get yourself on the positive side of it, and they didn't do that. And it wasn't because the Bills weren't making plays. It's that your quarterback just made terrible decisions and had turnovers.
Yeah, for sure. And with that amount of time left, it would have been prudent to just go ahead and take the knee and adjust for the second half.
Absolutely, but you make the mistake and then you turn around and get the ball up. So you're looking at now. You got the Denver Broncos playing one of the teams in the AFC Championship.
Yeah,
and like I said, more than anything else, you just put a whole bunch of questions around everything you do. Yeah, everything you do from an offensive side, from a coaching side, and the whole nine.
I kind of want to talk about the other AFC game, Chris, because I kind of got a thought here. Another game with mediocre quarterback play. The New England Patriots, put foots into the Houston Texans, in Sunday night. No, this was Sunday during the day. Chris, CJ Stroud didn't play good at all, man.
CJ Stroud has regressed. There was a point in time people were looking at it, and CJ Stroud didn't play well in the entire playoffs. He beat the only team that he could beat playing the way he played against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think he had three botched snaps, poor decision making, but he didn't give his team a chance to win at all in that game against New England. His play was so porous that it made you question everything about him, because now you're saying, and Troy Aikman said it best. I think he said it. CJ Stroud is searching to get back to.
He's been chasing that rookie year.
Absolutely right. And I think at that time when he came out of that rookie season, he said he was one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah.
Out of his rookie season, which is laughable. You know, he had a really, really good rookie campaign, and he's been searching for that. And it's not like the Texans haven't put pieces around him as well. You know, got him another running back. Went and got Nick Chubb, who we thought was a guy we wanted to go get instead of turning around and getting getting Williams. And then they just couldn't. Their offense was so chaotic, and it never got any flow and any rhythm. But the quarterback once again played really, really bad, which sets you up with a game where.
And it's like, don't get me wrong. You know, it was horrible weather out there. Horrible weather. You know, rain and snowing. It was like a wintry mix kind of deal the entire game. So I get it. It's hard to get a good grip on the ball and all of that. But I did pull up Troy's full quote. He said, and I quote, CJ Stroud has been chasing his rookie success for the last 2 years. He's not been the same player. We've not seen the development from him. There's a reason for that, and it has to be addressed. So I do think that when you talk about like this new generation of players, whether it's the Micah Parsons, the CJ Strouds, you know, the podcast generations that is always also worried about like life after football. With the most important position on the field, do you think that could be detrimental? Like he's worried about setting himself up for success off of the field in like successful media ventures and all of that with the podcast. Is that something that he should be putting more of that time and dedication to his development as a passer? Or what do you think it is?
I think you have got, you know, you get the ability to do outside things when you've had great success on the field. Yeah. It doesn't make a difference. You know, when you play well on the field, everything else will come. Winning, and we've always said that winning is the cologne that covers everything.
Yes,
and in a situation where you have the ability, and you touch the ball on offense 100% of the time, you've got to play better to get the ball to your playmakers because you know, I mean, you touch it. You're the catalyst to the offense. And when you're poor at your position and you're not progressing every year, you can point to that. So there's a lot of questions in the AFC for guys that you shouldn't be having these questions. He's going into year 4. And this is year 4 for next year will be year 4 for him.
Next year will be year 4,
And now you got to start questioning, okay, is he the guy? Because now we start thinking about the money, extensions, and everything, how you build your football team. So
now thankfully, you don't have to worry about that right now because you're going into year 4. You can just worry about that 5th year option, kind of like how the Panthers are doing with Bryce Young, and then kind of assess things from there. But it is concerning because, and Shaheem's kind of wild, and he said Bryce over CJ. I wouldn't go that far, right? We got a larger sample size of Bryce Young not being very good than CJ. You know what I'm saying? And even then, CJ's lows are, you know, they might be right around.
I mean, but hear what he's saying. We've seen Bryce Young be bad, but we've also seen
for a year and like 10 or 12 games.
I mean, you had his rookie year where
even then, Bryce had games where he turned back into a pumpkin this year.
But they were pesky. You know, it wasn't like Bryce Young lost you the game against the Rams. You know what I'm saying? You had to kind of say, okay, this is kind of his first time to play, so he gets the benefit of the doubt. His arc is going upward, whereas CJ's arc is going down. So Shaheem, hey, you know, I don't usually agree with Shaheem, but Shaheem is, you know, let's say him. I would say for me that you know they're a push, and so next year is a huge year for both of those young men. Both of those young men have to come back and show progression to get back towards the arc they want to, especially for those teams because they've got to worry about, is this the guy? Both of those guys are first round talent. Both of those guys are supposed to be franchise quarterbacks, and the team around them are showing promise. Where in the quarterback position, I you know what? Hey, bro, hey, you kind of on the same page. I'm looking at Bryce as being more on the uptick than I see with CJ. So I mean, me and he might be on one accord with that. We kind of with that. I got you.
Now I will say this: the Patriots struggled with against the Texans defense, for a lot. But that's the Texans defense. You feel me, Chris? DeMeco Ryans put his heart and soul into that. It was chef's kiss for all of the year. They never fell off for the whole year.
Okay.
So even though you saw the Patriots offense struggle a little bit for I'll say the majority of the game, at least the second half, that's not something that I would hold against them and say, all right, well, is the Patriots offense for real? Because they played a juggernaut on defense.
They did, and so here's your issue, or here's what you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at with Drake May in his second year,
yep,
doing the things necessary to win the game and not put his team at a deficit as much as these other quarterbacks did. The other three quarterbacks,
as much as the quarterback across from him.
Right. So, and sometimes that's all you really need to do. Let me protect the ball. Let me do what's necessary to put my team in position to win, and then just let it go. If we turned around and looked, if we had to rank all the quarterbacks that played this weekend, and we can do that at the end of this, Drake May is moving in the direction of being the next evolution of that franchise quarterback, and we can see him only getting better. His rookie year, a lot of questions. Got a really good coach in Mike Vrabel in there to start getting things together. The defense plays extremely well and hard, and he doesn't do anything to hurt his football team. He's got two good running backs. And when he needs to move around and do it, he does it. One thing, man, Drake didn't turn the ball over, man. Terrible weather. Protected the rock and got his team the dub to get him to his first AFC championship.
Yeah. I'll say this though, Chris. If the Denver Broncos play a protective style of football, treat Jarrett Stidham like he's like Trent Dilfer or something like that, or what was the dude that played for was it Denver? When remember the kickoff with Devin Hester when he had that iconic return at the beginning of the game.
You talking about like Rex Grossman?
Yeah, like Rex Grossman. Treat him like a guy like that, where they protect him a lot. You still win that game, Chris. Denver's defense is that good. They can mess around and win that game, Chris. I'll even say this. I will even say this. The whole year, Denver hasn't been quarterback reliant. They everything that Bo Nix has given them has been nice. But Denver was built upon their defense and their run game. And that's been it for the majority of the year. If Jarrett Stidham can be protected and not be a liability in that game and not just give the game away like CJ Stroud did, or like Brock Purdy did, or any of these other quarterbacks that didn't just play particularly well, man, Denver got a chance of winning that AFC championship, Chris.
I don't believe that in any shape, form, or manner. Jarrett Stidham is who Jarrett Stidham is.
Sure.
And unless Drake May just goes and just turns into an absolute shell of himself, I don't see the Broncos winning. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tight game.
It's going to be tough, and it's going to be a hard-fought game.
Yeah.
But everything that I just said about that Texans defense and how hard they fought and how dominant they are, Denver's that +2.
Listen, I can understand that. I go back to this. When you get into some rock fights or you got games where you've got to play exceptionally well and a lot longer than the other team has had to do that, like for New England's gone in, handled their business, got out of there. They did that. They did that in their first game. They turned around against the Steelers. Then they turned around. No, not against the Steelers, but who did they play first? The Broncos New England played.
Patriots beat
the Patriots beat the Chargers.
Yeah.
They turned around and beat the Chargers, played in that weather. Both of them held the Chargers down. I think they held them to like 6 points. 3 or 6 points.
3 points. 3 points.
3 points. So he held them to 3 points. So the defense is playing who they are. And they want to
keep in mind that they playing a fraud of a quarterback though.
Who?
Herbert.
I mean, but follow what I'm saying, bro.
Sure.
When New England had to deal with Josh Herbert, that's the starter. That's the guy they're dealing with, who's supposed to be making plays. They got past him. Then they turned around and they played against Josh Allen, made him make mistakes. But when New England turned around and they played and they had to play C.J. Stroud, when they made mistakes, the offense did it. So going into that game, I'm going to give the lean to New England.
I would too.
Yeah,
I would too.
But I don't think that defense can hold them down. If New England goes up by 10, I don't see Denver coming back from that. Denver can. I mean, New England go up by 7. I have no faith whatsoever in Josh Stidham. Josh Stidham's gonna have to pull the Jeff Hostetler, Nick Foles, Houdini bag to go ahead and be able to do that. So they're gonna lean heavy on the run game, try to keep Josh from having to throw. But when he gets in the 3rd and long, it's gonna fall back into New England's favor. So I kind of give the nod to New England in that game on the road and getting that done. But here's the other part about it. The last time New England had to go and play in Denver for the AFC Championship, Denver's defense did win the game for them. So
that was 2015, right?
Yes, sir.
Yep. It's gonna be a tough game. It's gonna be a tough game for Denver. At least they got the home out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
At least they got the home advantage.
They got the home advantage, and they better hope they get a big snowstorm and make it muddy. But if it's just cold and dry, I see New England blowing them smooth out the building.
Yeah. Chris, the 49ers did not look like themselves in this game on Saturday night.
Okay. But okay, go ahead.
Now, granted, in our show before the games, I talked about how San Francisco did not have anybody to cover JSN, and it just happens to turn out they didn't have anybody to cover anybody. So,
no, they didn't cover anybody.
Kenneth Walker had a day.
Had a monstrous day.
In the air and on the ground.
Right.
Zach Charbonnet, sorry about him. He got hurt, and he was an ACL. It was a really bad injury. It was one of those catastrophic ones. I think it was an ACL though.
It was a season-ending injury, but
we were talking about JSN. JSN was the least of their problems. It was the Cooper Kupp and Kenneth Walker show. Right.
And so I give a lot of credit to Robert Saleh, and I am not a big fan of Shanahan at all because everybody had him as being the boy genius and things of that nature.
Yeah.
But they were kind of going into that game with one hand behind their back because they were limited on defense. And it was only so long they were going to be able to do that. And playing against Seattle's defense when they were healthy, they were in their building, and they were just able to get after him. He's already down.
Fred Warner and Nick Bosa.
Fred. Oh no, I'm talking about on offense.
Okay.
We want to bang on Brock Purdy, but Brock Purdy didn't have the requisite weapons to try to challenge Seattle's defense. He had one weapon in Christian McCaffrey. Kittles is out. Jennings.
Don't get me wrong. The backup tight end Jake Tongas had an okay game.
Okay.
And he in general he's had an okay season because Kittle's been hurt, right?
Right.
But like you said, they've had to play with one hand behind their back all year because of the Brandon Ayuk situation.
Absolutely.
It's all getting hurt off.
Yeah.
And I think being compromised on defense. They've been playing with one hand behind their back all season.
And Pearsall played, but you could see he wasn't, at his best.
Yeah, he didn't have a reception. He got targeted a couple times, but he didn't have a catch the whole game.
So as much as I like to bang on Brock Purdy, man, I commend Brock Purdy for being out there and getting after as much as he could. It was just really to the point where it wasn't a fair fight. I don't think he had enough pieces to beat him. And then all Seattle did was say, hey, Sam Darnold, who many of us have thrown on the pile of misfit toys, he turned around, played well enough, but handing the ball off to get into Walker was the recipe for the football team to get the win.
Yeah, absolutely. Kenneth Walker, shown that he can continue to be the workhorse because even before they had Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker was doing his thing. But they just were splitting carries while Charbonnet, came on. I think he got paid this offseason and stuff like that. But yeah, they trying to been doing the split backfield thing, which is a recipe for success this year.
Absolutely.
But Sam Darnold, he was accurate. He didn't give the ball away, didn't put the ball in danger or anything, but he did not have to be the star of the show.
No. And sometimes and that's what most I know a lot of times we want the quarterback to just be able to be in certain situations. Hey, he's doing everything to make everybody else great. But in this situation, he didn't have to be heroic. Nope. He just needed to be,
pedestrian.
Matter
of fact, I'm not even gonna say pedestrian.
Nah,
he just had to be safe. He just had to be safe.
Right. Because I don't think there was a challenge from the opposite side to make him to have to do something special. Nope. When you turn around and you get Cooper Kupp and Kenneth Walker in the deal, and you don't even have to go to JSN like that.
Yeah,
that's a recipe for success for any team. That defense, man, makes it hard for anybody to get going. Salute to Mr. Tired himself. I mean DeMarcus Lawrence. Having the ability to not be tired. And
matter of fact, Chris, we owe DeMarcus Lawrence an apology, man.
I don't owe him a damn thing.
Chris, we owe DeMarcus Lawrence. DeMarcus Lawrence this offseason said he wanted to go to a team where he could actually win a championship. Me and you laughed at him. We laughed at him, Chris. And now they're going to a conference championship game.
But okay.
It's not because he's not doing anything. DeMarcus Lawrence is balling. He forced 2 fumbles. He forced 2 fumbles in this game.
I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn how who he was tired. He was tired.
Oh yeah. He got to get all the smoke from his time in Dallas at the end.
So at times he was. Wait a minute, hold on. Correct me if I'm wrong. You tell me.
Yeah.
So he got a sack. He got a couple sacks and a forced fumble, right?
He got a sack and a couple forced fumbles.
Right. I ain't seen him do a sack and a forced fumble when he played against San Francisco in Dallas.
I agree. I agree on his time in Dallas.
Right.
But I'm specifically talking about the way that he was talking in the offseason, where he was saying, "Hey, he came to Seattle so he can win a championship," and we laughed at him.
Listen, I am not giving DeMarcus Lawrence no pass. Mm-hmm. I don't want to hear none of that. He went and turned around and he played and did his part. He did the same stuff in Dallas. Probably we wouldn't have got 40 scored on us against Green Bay. Probably wouldn't have got ranked. Probably would have scored more points and not lost against San Francisco. I don't think he ever beat San Francisco while he was damn here in Dallas.
I don't know.
I mean, every time I thought about him in the playoffs, he was the invisible man. So the Seahawks got there, and he was on. Hey man, to me, he's the guy that stands up in the end of the Science Project, and he's on the Science Project team, and he want to answer all the goddamn questions. That's how I feel about it. So I don't give a damn about DeMarcus Lawrence. Salute to the Seahawks. I'm not giving him no credit for that. I want to hear that.
Get it, man. I get it.
Nah, hey, I
can respect that level of hating, Chris.
Hey, man,
I can respect that level of hating.
I'm giving my best branded. I hold grudges. I don't want to hear none of that shit you talking about.
I can respect that level of hating, Chris.
Yeah.
I get it.
Hate. I want everything bad to happen to him.
You and nobody else but you.
Him alone.
That's a good one, man. That's a good one.
Yeah, salute to him and the Seahawks, though, getting to the NFC Championship.
So, Chris, the Rams and the Bears game was obviously an ice bowl. You know what I'm saying? And so I saw this thing before the game where Matthew Stafford was like 0-7 in games where it was like 20 degrees or less.
Yes.
You can kind of see it. Now the Bears, of course, got after him. They was torturing him all game, but Stafford didn't look like, MVP Stafford this whole game. Of course, he had like a game-saving pass to Kobe Parkinson. But yeah, you could kind of see that cold weather struggles, that those old man's his joints get a little stiff in the cold struggles.
I mean, he did what was necessary to help his team win, but once again, another young quarterback in the playoffs gave the ball away too many times. And then with Caleb Williams is that he will make the spectacular play, especially the touchdown he threw in the corner. I think was it the Cole Kmet?
I believe Cole. No, was it? It might have been the Cole Kmet.
Yeah,
was that Cole Kmet or Colston Leather? I don't remember. It was one of the tight ends.
Hey, it was a great throw. Listen, it was one of those. I'm fading back. I'm gonna shoot a jump shot, throw it to the corner. He makes the. Here's the thing with Caleb. Caleb is. Oh, here we go. Caleb reminds me of the gunslinger Brett Favre. I trust
it was Cole Kmet. It was Cole Kmet.
Yeah, Cole Kmet, right. So I trust my arm above everything else, and I'm going to make the most difficult pass in the world to say, ooh, and then he going to throw an interception, makes you say, God damn, why would you throw that? So makes you to the point where he threw a pass he didn't have to throw it into double coverage, underthrew it, and when you were in position to, you didn't even have to throw that pass. Yeah. That was the pass. But also, I'm going to put that on DJ Moore. Yeah. Because he gave up on the route. Yeah. He gave up on the route.
Yeah, DJ Moore, he jogged that route. He jogged that route lazy.
He jogged. Yeah, he wasn't explosive. So, but that interception was the one that turned the game. Yeah. But he made, I think he had 3 interceptions in that game. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. He had 3 interceptions in that game. Costly turnovers because in the playoffs, the most important thing is
ball security.
And so, but you know, I think they were a year early that we were saying, and it was an opportunity for them to go do it, and they had it in their building. But you got to. Those are the games those are legacy holders. Those are legacy games that you turn around and look and say, hey, you made that mistake at that point in time that cost us the game. Yeah, because we were in position to win that game. Mm-hmm. You know, you get you get another 10 to 15 yards, maybe a safer throw, a better throw, or just thinking about, okay, I don't have to get the home run right here. Mm-hmm. I just got to keep moving the ball downfield to get us in position, to try to kick a field goal and get up out of here.
Yeah. So here's my issue with Caleb, Chris. I think that Caleb does great when he's allowed to play backyard football.
Absolutely.
When he can go off script, when he can just have the guys improvise and things like that. Scramble. What I think Caleb struggles in is the first 15 of each half. Caleb doesn't do particularly well in plays where he has to go with the script. Where he has to be methodical in everything that he does, where he can't improvise. And that could be because remember when he was coming out, where guys were talking about, oh, they just let him do whatever he wanted to at USC, and now he has to learn how to play under structure. And you can kind of see that in his rookie year. I think that Caleb just has to learn how to play under structure and not under chaos.
I can agree with that somewhat, but I'm gonna put this on offensive-minded genius coaching. Mm-hmm. In that situation, run the football. They were getting what they wanted with Swift. They were getting what they wanted with Monangai. They were able to run the football. And then, sometimes, hey, you just gotta make the safe play. And he didn't. That's my whole problem with that. Mm. So his scripted first 15, we can go back and forth. Okay, he could have this, he could that. But in that point in time in the game, you don't have to throw the football. You can just run the ball. Yeah. You can just run the football and get yourself in position to get a win and get out of there.
Yeah, I agree because their defense was doing them favors.
Yes.
It never got to the point where the game was really out of hand.
No, never was.
With the final score, because the Rams won in overtime.
Right.
I think that they just needed to be more prudent with their play calling.
Yes.
But yeah, man, that you can't give the ball away 3 times.
You can't give the ball away in those times.
And even then, on top of that, you don't want your quarterback throwing 42 times.
There you go. So going back to what I said, in that kind of weather. And you can run. It's not like you can't run the football. It's not like the Bears haven't. We watched them run the Eagles out the building.
Yep.
And sometimes you just gotta run the football and protect him from himself.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, you know,
You're absolutely right.
so you got in this situation the quarterbacks who played inside the structure of the team. Going back to
Mhm.
your being scripted, were
Yep.
able to get the win in inclement weather. It wasn't
Mhm.
like anybody had it. Oh, it with no dome games.
Nope.
All these games were
All outside.
outside,
All
all
of them.
outside. So now you set yourself up where you got the Broncos playing against the Patriots. It's going to be
Yep.
back outside. It's going to be nasty weather. You've
Yep.
got the Rams having to go play. Got to go play outside again
Yep.
and go deal and go deal with the Seahawks. So
And I'll say this. I'll say this. It's actually a little rough for Seattle. Their playoff run has been all divisional games.
yeah, I mean they've seen it. Everybody they've seen them before. They've
Yeah.
been able to beat them. And so now I think, this is the third time they face the Rams. And how many
Yep.
times? And both times, and
Yep.
the two previous times, have
Yep.
they split, or has it been Seattle being able to win the game?
I believe they split. But I can
Okay,
look that up. I can look that
yeah.
up. Go ahead. Continue while I'm
But
looking at it.
I mean, it sets up for intrigue. It gives us new teams inside, inside this for to look for who's going to end up going to
Yeah,
the
they
Super
split.
Bowl.
They
Yeah,
split.
they split. So you go into these games coming this weekend. I like Seattle. You know what? The Rams Seattle game, I'm
I like
kind
the
of torn
Rams.
with it.
I like the
Okay?
Rams.
I like the Rams. Okay.
Mhm.
I think this is you like the Rams.
And I like the Rams even more if it's not ice cold outside.
I think you like. So you're giving the edge to the Rams because of what?
I think that they're a better coach team. I think that
There you go. There you go. I was waiting for you to give it to me.
mhm,
Because they're frankly football. What
coaching
matters?
matters, baby. Coaching
Coaching
matters,
matters.
baby.
And and
Um,
and and
and then
McVay,
and then I
McVay is that
also
guy.
Seattle lost their RB2, and the Rams still kind of have Kyron Williams and Blake Corum, doing their thing. Um, I believe that Matthew Stafford is the better quarterback. They not just this year, this year and historically, I believe that
Yeah.
Stafford is the better quarterback. Now defense, that's gonna be tough. That's gonna be tough.
It's going to be tough because Seattle's a very good defense. They
Yeah,
cover well. They
yeah.
stop the run. DeMarcus Lawrence is a good run stopping defensive end. I just hope he
Mm.
isn't. I just hope he isn't tired.
Hey man.
Hey,
But yeah, I'm gonna give the edge to the Rams.
okay. In
Even
the NFC.
I said that the Rams were my dark horse team to win it all in July.
Mm, okay.
That's the good thing about the internet. It's forever, so you can go back and check that.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm still gonna ride with that.
I,
On the
I,
AFC, go ahead. We didn't get your
no.
prediction, please.
Yeah, I like Seattle at home. I think
Mhm,
Seattle's riding the wave. I think Walker's going to be okay, and
mhm.
I think Sam will do enough to get them over the hump. That defense is going to be the difference. I think in their building with a little bit of momentum, I think Seattle ends up getting the win. In the AFC, I just like the fact of the matter Drake May is the better quarterback in this game, even though Denver's
On
defense is
the
very.
AFC side,
Oh yeah, I think Denver's
yeah.
defense is very formidable. They're
Oppressive,
gonna, yeah, they're very
oppressive.
formidable. Yes, they're gonna need that defense to play stellar. They're gonna
Yep,
they're gonna need a DeMarcus Ware, Von Miller type performance when
yep,
they beat the Patriots before.
yep.
And
Now, for what it's worth, they got the guys to where that could happen.
they do.
That is not outside the realm of possibility.
Their defense is very very good.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna rock. At the
I'm
end,
gonna go with the Patriots too for what it's worth. Like that.
I
That
mean,
is.
yeah,
I just said Denver could win.
yeah, they
Now
could.
I'm rocking with the Patriots because I think that they're not crippled. They're not crippled by the quarterback position.
I,
Like
I, I
if Bo Nix was playing, we might be saying something different.
if even Yeah, we probably would
Yeah.
in their building. Bo's not going to do too much in it, and he's not going to do too
Mhm.
much to hurt him. But I'm gonna give. I've been a big Drake May fan.
Yep.
Like
I mean,
you
well,
said, I've been a bit, but before things changed, and I
yeah.
became a huge VT fan, Virginia
Mhm.
Tech fan. Man, I was Drake all day. I like
Yeah,
Drake all day, so I'm still gonna ride with Drake
yeah.
and the Patriots get back to the Super Bowl, which
Mhm.
is just really disheartening for me in a lot of different ways
Yep,
because they're right back. They tore down. They were
yep.
good, tore down, and they're
Mhm,
back. And
mhm.
we're gonna run with that. So
Yeah,
I'm picking the Patriots to play Seattle in the Super Bowl and go from there.
yeah, yeah. Chris, I think we had a good chunk of like we into the off season right now, right?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
wanted to talk about 5 guys that you couldn't walk away from at pick 12, but I think
Well,
that that's a
but
good subject to save for tomorrow. At this point,
no, we can get into it a little bit because that'll
a
set
little
us up
bit.
for tomorrow.
All right,
Because
cool.
we want to talk about
Mhm.
because we're talking about the draft. We want to talk
Yeah.
about the national championship game
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, 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 yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
the
Ain't
national
forget about
championship
that.
game that was one of the better played.
It
Um,
was, it was, Chris.
it was a game that was very well played, and it did my heart so much joy to watch Miami lose, even though I love Michael Irvin. But to watch,
I will say this though. I will
go
say
ahead.
this. Even though Miami lost, like the guys that we were looking at, Ruben Bain, Mesidor, they still look good out there.
Listen, man,
Look good out there.
my dreams of getting Ruben Bain at 12 went up in smoke on Monday
Mhm.
night.
Yeah,
We've had some disparity about who we thought was defensive end one.
yeah.
You put everyone else as D and one, and my defensive one, my D and one
Mhm.
has not changed.
It hasn't.
It has
Now,
not. It has
for what
not.
it's worth, Ruben Bain is still my edge too.
Hey
For what
man,
it's worth.
we're not gonna get on here and talk crazy tonight. We trying to keep it in keep it in the rails because on Monday night, short arms
I gotta,
and all.
you
I know you got.
know,
Hey, you can have all the notes in the world. Your
Yeah.
eye test on Monday night had you say, "Ooh, if he had a star on his
Yeah.
helmet, you be losing your
Oh
mind."
yeah, yeah. Chris, I'd be a pick and slot. Like let's not.
Man.
That's because I like
Okay.
David Bailey. Dog better. Don't mean that I wouldn't be ecstatic to have Ruben Bain, Chris.
I mean, everything you talked about, short arms. I didn't care if he had short arms,
You got love.
short
Yeah,
ribs.
Chris,
If
I can relate though. I got short arms. You know what I'm saying?
But-
I
but-
got
but-
little
but-
T-Rex arms too, so I can
I
relate.
mean, yeah. I ain't gonna say you got T-Rex on. I just know when I line him up wide 9,
Yeah,
man. Listen, that's
and
a
that's
grown man out there.
that's definitely where he gonna be at. He definitely
Yes,
plays outside on
Yeah.
both sides for what it's worth, but he's not as versatile as some other guys. But he not gonna be up against no guards and nothing like that. That man is as far out as he can be.
and
He might
gives-
be touching shoulders with a cornerback.
Listen, I don't care because he does. I don't see any weaknesses in his game. He
Yeah.
plays the run well. He's relentless as a pass rusher. He's
Yep.
so disciplined. I mean, I saw him throw another grown man because that's
Yep.
who he was playing against. Indiana, one of the best offensive lines in
Yep.
all of college football, and he did his thing. And he got stronger as the game went on. That was the one thing that I loved. He as the game progressed, he continued
Mhm.
to be wreaking. He brought chaos to the game on
Yep.
every snap he was out there. I mean, they
Um,
basically they almost. I mean, outside of a couple of great plays by Indiana, they almost blanked them in the second half.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Excuse me.
God bless you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you're right. I do think it was kind of poetic how it went for Mendoza, right? He was playing against the school where he's from. You know what I'm saying? It was that quarterback run towards the end.
No, I think it was even more poetic than that.
Yeah.
If you and if you remember, and I know you're not a huge. You're a college football guy.
Yeah.
But remember last year,
Mhm.
Miami had
Chris,
a game.
I'm a draft guy first and foremost. Let's
Gotcha.
put it that way.
Gotcha. But Mendoza got knocked out of the game when he played against Cal in a
Yeah.
very controversial play that
Mhm.
Cal was going to beat Miami last year, and
Yeah.
Mendoza got a targeting hit and got knocked out the game. He turned around and took every hit. He took all the pounding. He didn't wither. And when he had to go make throws, he made throws. He kept them. He kept them going. But yeah, what will go down? We'll sit down and we'll go in college lore. Is that 4th and 5 run in the late in the game where he took the hit, spun off, and dove into the end zone.
Yep.
Poetic. And listen, poetic. Mr. Mendoza, who loves Jesus, we all know that, and is going to give him praise every time he does them. Had a great game, and they did what was necessary to win that football game. Yeah.
I'm glad that he rose his draft stock a little bit because I want every offensive player to go in those top 11 picks.
And man, what you're doing is wishing on something that you want every GM to be dumb enough to go ahead and pick everybody else so you can push Ruben down.
Teams suck at drafting though, Chris.
Listen, man.
A whole lot of teams suck at drafting.
Until the other day,
we just talked about how Buffalo has not had an All-Pro player since in Josh Allen's career. He's been the only one. So a lot of these teams do suck at drafting, Chris.
They do, but the team who I'm worried about, when I saw Ruben Bain play the way he did, I was good with that. But with Robert Saleh getting a new head coaching job in Tennessee, all that went out the window because I can see Jeffrey Simmons and Ruben Bain causing terrorize the quarterback from Tennessee, and they won't. And as their quarterback, Cam Woodson, they won't be asked next year.
Yeah,
trust and believe on defense. They will not be asked on defense next year. So that went up in smoke. So that was kind of poetic. But hats off to Indiana. And Miami isn't on dynasty mode, and that makes my life a whole lot better. Made me feel good.
For sure.
Made me feel good. But since we're talking about college football and prospects and things of that nature, me and you did a quick
little thought exercise.
A little thought exercise. The thing about if y'all don't know, if I call B in the middle of the day and give him an exercise. B want to do a show.
I'm gonna think about it right then and there.
You want to say, "Hey, Chris, want you save the content, bro? Content is premium in these dry next 45 days we got until we start looking at draft prospects." So, what we decided to say, name the 5 guys who you have that you can't draft away from.
You would not trade up. Yeah, you would not trade away from.
Not trade away from. So, as y'all know, we're talking about draft, but we're kind of, in a centric, Cowboy centric. What would you do? So, your 5 guys are who?
So Chris, you struggle with ideally. No, I struggle with 1. 4 of them, I was.
I got my 5.
You know what I'm saying, Chris? I would not trade away from David Bailey, edge rusher, Texas Tech, Ruben Bain, edge rusher, the U, Arvell Reese, edge rusher,
combo linebacker.
Yeah. But Chris, he be on the edge though, man. He be on the edge.
Okay. All
right. Caleb Downs, safety, and
Ohio
Chris,
State.
I struggle with this last one for a bit because linebacker, like real linebacker, is like a less valuable position, a less coveted position. Although we need one desperately, right? I ended up settling on Sonny Styles.
Okay, that's your guy. That's your 5th guy.
Yeah,
okay, that's okay.
And that's not to say that Sonny Styles is a player. Anything like that. It's just that if you had the option to move back to the pitch, then you could draft linebacker a little later. Like, do you have the fear that you would get wiped out at linebacker if you move back anywhere from 2 to 7 picks?
Would I have a problem with that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think you get wiped out, but those are your 5. My 5, we have similar on certain things. So my number 1 guy, I'm not drafting away from Ruben Bain, defensive end, Miami. I'm not drafting away from Caleb Downs, safety, Ohio State. I'm not drafting away from Arvell Reese, Arvell Reese, linebacker /DN /weapon Ohio State.
Yep.
I'm not drafting away from David Bailey,
Yep.
linebacker, edge
all
rusher.
matching up so far. All
Okay,
matching up so far.
Right. But my guy I'm not drafting away from is Jeremiah Love, running back, Notre Dame.
Really?
Notre Dame.
Really?
He's
Chris,
so-
I want Jeremiah Love to go before we get picked anyway.
But if Jeremiah Love is sitting there at 12, all 5 of those
He
guys
probably will be. If we being real, he probably will be.
let me go. If he's sitting there at 12, he's a force multiplier for my offense.
Sure.
And I'm taking him at 12 and letting the chips fall where they may. Because here's my philosophy on that. There are only, in most drafts, 15, possibly 17 first-round players.
Yeah.
And Jeremiah
I
Love,
want to say I got like 14 right now.
okay, you got 14 right now. So there we go. We're right at the edge of that.
And
because
you want to know what's crazy? I haven't even watched Jeremiah Love.
I mean,
Chris, I've been watching mainly defense, offensive line. You know what I'm saying? Receiver. I haven't even watched Jeremiah Love. I haven't watched a single running back yet.
okay.
I've watched 36 players. I watched 4 more players since we last.
Yeah, I know you were a little bit under the weather, but that's commendable to you.
Got a little sick.
So those are my 5 guys. So here's my exercise for you, and I wanted to drop it one. So you get there at 12. Let's say any of those 5 guys show up, and I'm at 12. I'm going to take one of those 5 guys.
Yeah. I'm not trading.
I'm not trading.
Any of those 5 guys are on there. I'm not trading.
So here's my question, and this is why I wanted you to think about it. So you get to 12.
Yeah.
And one of those 5 guys are there. How far back would you go if one of those 5 guys were there? I just want to make it hard for you.
If one of those 5 guys were there, 0.
Okay,
I am
0.
not trading back from David Bailey, Ruben Bain, Arvell Reese, Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles. Not trading back from them.
Okay. So you get to 12. And let's say somebody wants to come up.
If you want me to be real, Malgoa might be in that. If you want me to be real.
And who is that, my friend?
Francis Malgoa, tackle from the U.
Okay, from Miami. Okay, yeah. So you got 6 guys. So let's say,
look, that's just if you want me to be real. And I'd have to Malgoa I'd have a conversation about, right? I might have a conversation about Messidor Delane. Mansour Delane. Mansour Delane. No, Messidor, another.
You that wait a minute. So Mansour. Wait
I'd have a conversation about drafting him at 12.
You would?
Yeah. You know, Mansour Delane, cornerback, LSU, by way of, you wouldn't. Now I know that you're a little bit more personally connected because he went, he was, saying out there.
Okay, we're gonna get. I'm not a big a fan of Mansour in that high as a lot of the Cowboy and a lot of the draft community is, because I like McCoy out of Tennessee. I like him. And he goes right along with my my analogy about being hurt.
Yeah.
By the time you get him to Dallas, he's almost 20 months removed from his injury, and his junior tape is amazing.
Yeah. See, that's the good thing.
His tape
all this year.
No.
Yeah. See.
No.
He was a dog last year. Real dog.
Absolutely. So he gets hurt. He doesn't play at all this year. And by the time you draft him, by the time you look at him in April, and I know how much you don't like dealing with hurt guys, but by the time you get him in April, he's a year and he's 15 months removed. And by the time you get him to minicamp and get him to Dallas, he's right in my window. He's right in my window of being fully healthy and recovered. And if I can put him and I can put Rebel on the opposite side and move Bland back inside, my secondary becomes it's exponentially better.
A lot more comfortable.
Exponentially better.
Especially with all these coaches that you're looking at that are DB centric coaches.
There you go. I become exponentially better. So if those guys are there and at 12, and somebody wants me to move back, because here's my dilemma in Dallas. After I pick at 20, I don't pick again until day 3.
Yep.
And there's just too many good football players that's going to go off the board that I'm willing to drop back and do some of the different things. I'm captain trade down. I'm taking that from my good buddy Jeff Kavanaugh. I'm letting it ride, and if I can drop back 3 to 4 spots, maybe to 16, because you're saying you got 15, you're at 15, and I can pick up a second and a third, I'm in a better situation. Does that make sense?
Sure.
If those 5 guys on the board, I'm gonna break my neck and I'm gonna ride with it, and I'm gonna have to worry about what I'm gonna do at 20. But if one of those 5 guys, if all 5 of those guys are wiped out, I can move back as far as 16.
All 5 of them, I'm gonna move back. Then, if all 5 of them are gone, then we can move back and we can figure this thing out, because that means that it's gonna be offensive players on the board.
Right. But if I move back to 16, then, and if I feel better at 16 picking up Mansour if I had to.
Yeah.
But if I can move back to 16 and get McCoy, I'm not mad at all, because I got a second and a third.
Yeah.
Or I get another. If I can recruit my first. See, I want to be able to go into next year with 2 firsts.
Yeah.
One of my I've already given up one of them, because the Jets are going to get the better of the picks. So I still want to have another first that I can dibble and dabble with in the next year's draft. But I've got to get more picks. I've got to get a second and a third, because I'm so wiped out with not having young talent that I can pick off this board. And this board is going to be insane from 21. So I think we pick like 112.
Yeah, way back there.
Way back. Dude, from 21 to 1. Come on, man. That's 100, almost not 80, 90 players. And I need 7 to 8 on the defensive side of the football. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you absolutely right.
Right. Now, when I get down to 20, I'm still in the trade back scenario where if somebody wants to come up and give me their next year's first and maybe a third or a fourth, I'll trade back down as far as maybe 24. Because I'm so wiped out in the media rounds of this draft, the second, third, and fourth round. Those are the areas where I can go get guys who can be day one plug and play starters.
Yeah.
The meat of this draft is in the second and third round.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So I have no problem with that. But that was just my little thought exercise. And what we want y'all to do, man, that y'all kicking it, you look at your team, give us your 5 guys who you're not drafting away from. And if there was a possibility, what would you end up doing? I mean, Shaheem, he got some guys that I want anyway. So, go ahead and send Bryce on over, man. Red Rover. Send Bryce on over.
Tell Quincy come on over here, man.
Let's go ahead and get the brother over. We good. We get the linebacker, free agent, things of that nature. But that was just my little thought process, man. I just want to see how you were thinking on that. Staying at 12 and 20 is great if I do certain things in free agency. But I can sweeten the pot, work in free agency, plug and play 2 or 3 players, and then turn around and get extra picks in the second and third round to get some of that young talent. If I can get Rodriguez from Texas Tech, if I can get, I said this out loud today. I'm loving Ponds. I'm liking Pounds a little bit more than Mansour.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just talking about like 2023 tape, man, that Tennessee corner, man.
Oh my God! Hey, listen, man. If I can drop back,
McCoy is. Whew.
Here's a question for you. If the right tackle from Miami, pronounce his name again, because I'm bad at tearing people's names.
Mauigoa, Francis Mauigoa.
So if Francis is there, if Francis is still on the board, I'm wiped out. And if I can drop back to 16, do you take another lineman in the first round? Would you have a problem with that?
Yeah, I'll do it. Chris, I always want to upgrade my O-line.
We take offensive linemen in the first round all the time. Is that a problem for you?
Chris, I always want to upgrade my O-line.
But come on, B. We just drafted an offensive lineman last year in the first round. Man, do you want to do a first round draft pick of offensive lineman again?
Chris, I always want to upgrade my O-line.
But you ain't got to get in the first round. You can find another guy and later down in the draft. You got to take him at 16. You got to take him there.
See, so that part is a good question though. The prospects that you would get at 12, 16, 20, that range, right? They're gonna actually help you. A fourth, a fifth, a sixth, seventh, something like that. And that's a crapshoot, man. Once the O-line are gone, they are gone.
But if you got him, but Proctor, if Proctor, and so if you had to do between Proctor and Francis, who you taking?
I'll take Mauigoa. I like me some Caden Proctor, of course. I like me some Caden Proctor, but Mauigoa is the better offensive lineman.
Okay. But if I can get Proctor at 16 and get a second and a third, would you be mad? Would you throw your pen?
See,
would you?
Now you're getting a little bit like Mauigoa is my tackle one. He's my OL one. Let's not even sugarcoat that. He's my old lineman one. If you're talking about getting like second, third, fourth best, old lineman, you gotta have a conversation there. Then you might just have to be like, all right, cool. We got to go for not only a better player on the list, because I'm sure that I have players between Mauigoa and Proctor. I'm sure that I do. I'd have to think something different and go defense at that point. But if Mauigoa is there in like a trade down scenario and we're wiped out, I'd take him.
If Mauigoa is there, I take him. Yeah. But if somebody wants to come up, if Mauigoa and Proctor on there, and I ain't got to lose too many, if I can go maybe 2 picks and pick up a second and third, I'm giving that 12. I'm gonna drop back and I'm gonna get between Mauigoa and Proctor, and I'll let it ride from there because I have to have more picks. I cannot come out of Thursday night with 2 people and sit there and just die on Friday night. Sure. And just die and watch all that talent go right past me because I can't do anything with it. That's my feeling on that.
Okay.
That's my feeling on that.
Not upset at that. Yeah. Chris, we done been here an hour and 7 minutes. You got anything else before we get up out of here?
Hey man, listen, it was straight to the point, man. Listen, we want y'all to make sure you kind of journey along with us. We are now fully into draft season. Yep. So next time we come out here, we're gonna be talking about prospects. Put one of your favorite guys or a guy or two that outside of the blatant obvious ones to give us a little bit of time to look them up, put them inside the comment and rock with us. But because you're there with us this long, at an hour and 7 minutes, make sure you do the 4 things you gotta always do. You gotta like, you gotta share, you gotta subscribe, and definitely go ahead and drop a comment in the box, man, to keep rocking with us, man. We thank you always for being just with us on this journey, man, as we continue to try to put as much dope content as we can out here for you. Here at Frankly Football, man, there's a couple of things that will always stand true. Coaching matters. Brandon holds grudges, and I'm still that guy. And on a regular, Brandon holds grudges, and I'm still that dude sitting on the corner talking about, hey, man, can you put a buck in my cup and I will shut the – but there's a family show up, and I'll go from there, man. Man, until next time, man, that's my man, Brandon. I'm your boy, Set It Off Chris, and we will forever together be Frankly Football. So till next time.
Peace.